Hello, and welcome again to The Sacred Life. This is David Bahler. It's just me again coming to you from my home near Peru, Indiana. Um, Today, I'd like to talk to you about, well, it's kind of a continuation of the subject in my last solo video, but I mean, a little bit of a different conversation at the same time. We're talking about the problem of division in the church. Um, but I'd really like to look at it particularly as it relates to the problem of division going on in our country, in our Western society, and what many are looking at and calling the downfall of the West, the end of the West. We're looking at a country, at a society, at a culture that's very much in decline, and people don't know what to do about it. So I'm just going to start off with telling you I do know what to do about it. I do know what the answer is, and that answer is Orthodoxy. It's Orthodox Christianity. Now, I understand that that means the end to Western society, Western culture, and especially American culture as we've known it. Um, but that's kind of the Christian, like, that's kind of often the Christian narrative is that in order to survive, we often have to die. We have to voluntarily die. And I mean, I think that kind of is the answer to America right now, is if America is going to survive as a country, if it's going to survive as a culture, then it has to first die. It has to die to itself. And I guess you would say be resurrected, be brought back and renewed in Jesus Christ and in his church. There's, I don't know, there's sort of a baptism of the West that has to happen if the West is going to endure. Um, this is kind of a special time for me. It's been just over a year at the time that I'm recording this since the three of us, myself, my brother John, Aaron, since we visited St. George Antiochian Orthodox Church in Fishers, Indiana, for a forgiveness Vesper service, and did a video about it. And that video, like for us, went huge. We've got, I think it's something like 13,000 views now. Now, again, thank you so much to everybody that joined us at that time. The last year for us has been, I don't know, it's been wild. There's other videos out there about that. I don't have to go through all that again. Um, you know, I'm sitting here today as a catechumen in the Orthodox Church, which is something a year ago I wasn't even considering. But things happened the way they did, and I mean, I don't regret it. I'm not distraught about the things that happened at all. And it's really helped me to understand. It's really helped me to understand things a lot, my own experience, and that's kind of what I'm coming to speak to you from and about today. Um, my own experience is far from isolated. I've encountered so many people over the past months that have stories so similar to mine. There's some unique things about mine. Being a Mennonite, um, being a former Mennonite that is now converting to Orthodoxy, but a lot of the details, I don't know, they overlap with a lot of people that I've come to know, come to love. At the same time, videos like the video from Dr. Ortland that I recently responded to really highlight something for me, which is how much different it is for me and for us as Orthodox Christians right now than it is for just about anybody else in the West and in America. It's a really exciting time for Orthodox Christians, but it's a really scary and uncertain time for evangelical Protestants in particular, but really for all Protestants. Um, a number of weeks ago, I attended the Sunday of Orthodoxy service. Again, it was at St. George. There were over 400 people there from different churches throughout central Indiana. I think all the major jurisdictions that have a presence in central Indiana were represented there. I think there's something like somewhere around 20 priests from different congregations, different parishes that participated, that served in the service. Like it was really an amazing experience. But just seeing the excitement, it's something I heard from so many people as we fellowshipped in the meal afterwards, It's just, I heard this comment from a number of people, like, it's such an exciting time to be Orthodox. And I was just really reflecting on that. In light of the video that I had just done the day before, actually, is when I had recorded it, responding to Dr. Ortland, and how different it is, and just reflecting on myself in the past, like how different it is now as a catechumen in the Orthodox Church, and how exciting and how optimistic things are compared to the last several years, really my whole life as a Mennonite, and how uncertain things were, how often bleak and scary the future looked, because things were coming unraveled, and things are coming unraveled at an accelerating pace, like not just for Mennonites, but for evangelicals, for mainline Protestants, for everybody. um, yeah, and it's just looking at that and comparing it to where I am now. It's like, well, I'd never go back. But I'd also recommend, I really would recommend, if if anybody out there still watches this channel who's a Mennonite, any of my, you know, any of my friends, if you're still watching this, it's just, I don't know, like, that's what I'd recommend, is take the step and, I don't know, do what I did. I think really it's the only place where there's a future. It's the only place where there's the truth. And for me, it was the only place where I feel like I can accomplish what I think I need to accomplish, which is to become a saint. I don't think anybody else is offering that. But this sort of transitions into the main point, which is, what is the future for America, and why do I think it's Orthodoxy and only Orthodoxy? So this goes back to, for me personally, many years, like at least a decade, is being challenged with this question that American culture is coming unraveled. It's increasingly divided. There's so much political violence, ideological violence going on. In a lot of ways, it's really pretty scary. It's a pretty scary time to be an American. Now, I know some of that might just be media hype. You know, people in the news, people on the internet, like exaggerating things so they get views, they get clicks, they get people watching their shows, and so they benefit by always exaggerating things. But I mean, at the same time, I think a lot of it isn't exaggerated, and there are a lot of scary things going on, a lot of uncertain things going on. And you look at this country and you think, I mean, this is for me like describing my process going back, like I said, at least a decade. It's like I look at this country and I think, what hope is there for America? We're trying this experiment, and like over and over again, just swinging from one side to another, trying to find a political solution, but we're never going to find it because there isn't a political solution. Donald Trump is not going to save America. Barack Obama was not going to save America. Whoever, if you're a Democrat and you're looking to some figure from the Democratic Party or from the left to come up and fix the problems that Trump is, that you think Trump is causing, you're not going to find it. You're never going to find it. And if you're a Republican looking at Donald Trump and thinking that, he's fixing America, and then you're wondering, well, who's going to come up after him and carry on this mantle? It's like, well, first of all, Trump is not fixing America. Trump, because he can't. And nobody's going to come up after him that's going to fix America, because the answer to this problem that we have in our culture is not political. And it's not populist. It's not any of these things. The only answer is Jesus Christ. And this is something I've believed for a long time, is that what this country needs is the gospel. What this country needs is Jesus Christ. But then really looking at that question and asking, okay, what does that actually mean? How does that actually play out? And realizing the Christianity I'm a part of can't offer that. If we can't agree with ourselves, if our answer is always to divide and to separate ourselves and to start a new church whenever something happens that we don't like, or whenever we come to a place where we disagree with what our church is teaching or what our church does, how can we think that we have any answer at all to the cultural and the political crisis of this country? And I think that's why you see so many Christians, including Anabaptists, who just kind of give up on that idea entirely and just completely throw their lot in with American politics. You know, how many conservative Christians are just gung-ho Trump supporters? Seems like I'm not anti-Trump, but I'm not pro-Trump either. I just think, you know, it's best just not to. I don't know. I don't think this political system is the answer. I think the church is the answer. But like I say, what I'm trying to describe is this process for me personally of really, really wrestling with the fact that I know this is the answer, but at the same time, I also know that the church can't offer it, and the church that I'm a part of anyway, it can't offer it. And you know, where that leads me is to the conclusion that if we're if this country is going to be fixed, we've got to fix ourselves first. And so that starts me on this process of getting into the church fathers, looking at, okay, surely we can find some way of getting at the bottom of what Christianity really even is, how it operates. Surely we can look at people who have dealt with these issues in the past and either learn from their mistakes or learn from their successes. But just I don't know, just increasingly encounter that nobody's interested in that. Nobody's willing to do that. Everybody would rather. I'm sorry if I'm being a little harsh here, but I'm just trying to describe my experience with things. It's just like we'd all rather be right, if that makes sense. And I look at that kind of system and think, well, what hope is there for us then? If it ultimately just comes down to, well, you have to decide for yourself what you think is right, and then join the faction that agrees with you, then there's no hope of unity. And I think it's because this is the way that the church operates in America that this has become the standard that America operates as a whole. So really, I think the cultural and political failings of America is due to a spiritual crisis that's happening in the church. And that really, really bugged me. And it still really bugs me. And that's one of the biggest contributing factors to me ultimately coming to where I am today and making the choice, led to that choice by the grace of God, to join the Orthodox Church, because I believe that the Orthodox Church is the only church. I believe it's the church. It is the church. I mean, I don't have time in this video. It's not the subject of this video, so I'm not going to completely break down what I mean by that. But suffice it to say, I think that the only way this works out in the end is for us to return to the original faith, to return to the faith of the apostles, to return to their church. And, that happens to be working out for me and for a lot of people I know at an individual level, at the individual level. But I hope by the grace of God, and I think this is kind of what my brother John is after. John, if you're watching this video and you disagree with my assessment, I hope you reply or respond. But I think it's the same thing that it can work out for me as an individual, but it can also work out for congregations and groups of people. And I would have hoped as an individual that I wouldn't ultimately come into Orthodoxy on my own. That I would have been part of a group of people that came in together. That isn't ultimately what ended up happening, but all things to the glory of God. I'm not going to question why things happened the way they did. There might be some things that happened and the way things unfolded that I really struggle with. Some things that I'm really confused about. And I'll admit there's some ways where I look at some of the people that I was going through this process with, and just seeing the way that they turned, and just having a hard time within myself, like not being upset about it and not judging them. But we're in the season of Lent, and one thing we pray continually during this season, in the prayer of Saint Ephraim, is not to judge our brothers, but to look on our own sins, and I need to remember that. But that gets kind of at a point as to what I think it ultimately means that orthodoxy is the answer, and what it doesn't mean. So what it doesn't mean is that I should go on the internet and refute every Protestant, refute every Roman Catholic, refute every atheist, or that I should go around on X or wherever else, Reddit, wherever else, and get into debates and arguments with everybody that disagrees with me. Or that I should go around saying everybody that's not Orthodox is wrong and you guys need to join the Orthodox Church. And the only way, I don't mean, when I say the only hope for America is Orthodoxy, I don't mean I'm going to point my fingers at every Mennonite, every Protestant, every Catholic, every Muslim, every Buddhist, or whoever it is, and say, you're wrong and you need to listen to me. Because Lord knows I'm an idiot. I'm just a stupid catechumen. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have the answers. But what it does mean is orthodoxy is the only hope for me. Orthodoxy is the only answer for me. And the way orthodoxy is going to save this country is if we first let it save ourselves. Or rather, by that, I mean, I should clarify what I mean by that. Is orthodoxy is the gift of God to us for our salvation. And we need to use it as that. And if we use it as that, then it will save the world. Because God will save the world through us, through his church, through his saints. And it's like for me, that's the answer. Is I want to become a saint. I don't know that I ever will. If so, by the grace of God. But still, I set that in front of me. I look at the examples of the saints. I look at the lives of the saints. I have, I guess it's not behind me. It's over here to the side of me. I have St. Gregory Palamas, who is, my own patron saint. And the reason that is because I encountered him. Because through him, Christ has done tremendous things for my own salvation. And if I'm emulating the saints, if I'm emulating St. Gregory Palamas or, St. John Chrysostom or St. Basil the Great or whoever it might be, then I'm really emulating Christ. I'm imitating Christ as he's worked in them. And then I'm also being to those in the world around me what these great saints have been for me. And, what other men, I think of great Christian men, great Orthodox men that I've met just in my short time, over the last year, and what they've done for me, what they've meant for me. And it's like that's the answer. And that's my challenge to myself. In this video, I mean, it's really, I guess, publicly me standing up and saying, for one thing, I'm an idiot, I'm a sinner, and I need to get my own act together. And please pray for me. Because I look at this issue that's going on in this country, and I think, well, I could do what other people are doing, and argue and fight about it. And that includes a lot of online Orthodox people, unfortunately. Or I could do what the saints have taught me to do, what Christ teaches me to do, and I could allow the church, allow Jesus Christ, allow the saints, allow God to work in my own life and and through that, I can be part of the salvation of this country. Um, I think what this society needs, what American culture needs, is to die to itself, to die to the world, and then be resurrected in Jesus Christ. And that only happens with Christ's church, so that's only going to happen with Orthodoxy. But I think it has to happen with me and with countless other individuals first. Right now Orthodoxy in this country is tiny. Like, I don't know, maybe it's 1% of the population, if even that. I mean, it's super small. Um, and so it sounds kind of prideful maybe to a non-Orthodox Christian for me to say, well, Orthodoxy is the future of America. I was like, well, who do you guys think you are? Well, first of all, I'll say to that, I know of hundreds, if not over 1,000, young people just in central Indiana that are going to be chrismated or baptized into the Orthodox Church, including myself, over the next few months. And like, I look at that, and it's just incredible. Every church I go to, including my own little parish, is just stuffed to the gills most of the time. Um, you know, I go to all these little parishes, and again, including my own, and I hear people talking about, like, we don't know what we're going to do. We don't have room for everybody. I mean, we're not going to turn anybody away, but it's just like so many people are coming into the church, and it's not slowing down. It's actually accelerating. Um, I know of one parish that's gonna chrismate or baptize over 50 people in the next couple of weeks, and it's like they don't have anywhere to put them. But it's like it's what I'm saying is, if you're an Orthodox Christian and you look at this from the sense of, well, we're so small, how can we hope to save America? It's like, well, I mean, we already are, for one thing. Um, yeah, but it just comes back to that for me. Like, what I mean when I say Orthodoxy is the future of America, again, is Orthodox people. Somebody commented on a recent video I did that what America needs, something along the lines of what this country needs, is saints. And you know there there are there are not a lot of saints in our time, um, but I think there are a lot of people that, by the grace of God, could be saints. Um, and I say that as a challenge again to myself. Um, you know, I'm stupid and I'm stubborn, and the only reason I'm not a saint is because I'm stupid and I'm stubborn and I'm selfish. And I think that's true for all of us. And so what that means to me is the failure of the church in America is ultimately my own failure. It ultimately becomes my own responsibility, and I'm the one who has to do something about it. And um, that doesn't mean, again, go out and argue against everybody who I think is wrong. That means me live up to the high calling that the saints set for us, that Christ sets for us, like Saint Paul challenges us to do. Um, and so that really is the point of this video. That's also the point of the project that we're working on. If you've been following this channel, you probably know what I'm talking about. If this is your first video, I'll fill you in. Um, we're working on an animation project. What we want to do is present the lives of the saints, and make those freely available to everybody on the internet. We want to really advertise this project, really get the word out. We also need to raise a lot of funds to do it. So if you're interested in supporting out, please check out the links in the description below. Consider supporting us on Patreon. Um, if you're somebody that has some funds and you believe in a project like this, like, we'd really appreciate it if you'd consider donating via PayPal or Venmo, or um, We're going to have a Kickstarter coming up here in a little over a month, Lord willing. Um, you know, if you believe in what we're saying and what we're doing, and you think any of those projects are worth supporting, like we'd greatly appreciate that. But what I'm saying here is the mission of that project. Like, what this country needs is saints. But that also includes the saints that we already have. We have some great Orthodox saints in America. Um, and God willing, we're going to have a lot more. But we also have 2,000 years worth of saints in the church. And like I believe that the best way for me to really become a Christian is by learning to know God's saints, by encountering them. Um, so for me personally, working on this project, intimately meeting the saints in the way that I am through working in these stories and bringing them to life for you. Um, I hope that's something that's working for my own salvation, but I also hope and I pray that by the grace of God, it's something that is working to the salvation of I don't know, countless thousands of others. Um, so that's the point of that project. We want to bring the lives of saints because they're going to do a much better job of representing Christianity, of representing Orthodoxy than I'm going to, than any of the apologists on the internet are going to. And Lord knows there's a lot of people on the internet, here on YouTube, on X, or whatever it might be, that are terrible representations of the faith. Go ahead and throw me in that category too, because Lord knows I'm a terrible representative of the faith. Um, and I'm just a stupid catechumen, so you have no reason to listen to me. But maybe we can listen to the example and the lives of the saints. Maybe we can learn from that. Um, so yeah, like I said, please consider supporting that, and please consider supporting this channel as well. I'm also working as an apprentice iconographer for Matthew Whirledge. I'm gonna put some links to his website, some information there as well. Um, if you would like to get some icons, or if you would like, we're also making icon boards. If you're interested in any of those things, you can check out the links. We'll have the links for that in the description as well. But just all of that comes to work because work together in the sense that like my passion is really how are we going to save this country? You might say, how are we going to fix this country? And ultimately come to the realization, I'm not going to fix this country. Only God can fix this country. Only God can save this country. But God works through his people. And God desires to share the work of his salvation through his people. Like that's why we have the saints. That's why we have icons. Is because God works his salvation through people, and through things. And the salvation of this country isn't going to work out in us loudly yelling at everybody who's wrong, but in us judging ourselves first and us being saved so that we can become the instrument of their salvation. Like that's my whole vision. That's the whole vision behind the Sacred Life. That's the whole vision behind our animation project and where we want to go with that in the future. We really appreciate all of you who have subscribed to this channel over the last year. Also, those of you who have been with us since before then and who have stuck with us through the major changes that have happened over the last several months. We really appreciate all of you. We appreciate your support. Please continue to support us. Help us out if you want, by liking our videos, commenting on our videos. Long watch sessions really help the algorithm out. All these things help the algorithm out, help us to grow the channel. Do those things, like I said, like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to our channel if you're not already. I think something like 65% of you are not subscribed. In some ways, I'd like to get all of you subscribed, and in other ways, I'd also like to get these videos out to a wider audience. So help us accomplish that. All of that ultimately is just working towards the mission of us becoming saints. I think for the three of us, I think all three of us would agree that this project is a personal challenge for the three of us, because by working out our own lives publicly in the way that we are, it really makes us think about what we're saying, what we're doing, what we stand for, and where we're going. And we hope that I don't know. We hope that that's a challenge to you, and we hope that that does the same for you as well. That's really our goal. We're not teachers. Like I said, I'm an idiot. Aaron and John, you guys are idiots too. um, so like, we're not teachers. We're not any kind of authority. But we do really hope that by working out, by wrestling with these things publicly in the way that we do, that that works something in our own lives, but it can work something in your lives too. Um, and we also want to say we've been talking a lot lately about our content. Maybe at times we're making content for ourselves a little bit too much, and we want to make content for you. So help us out by interacting with us, letting us know what you'd like to hear, asking us questions, things like that. That's really all I have to say for now. Thanks again to all of you for supporting us. Thanks if you've given me this much time out of your day. Thanks, well, I really appreciate that. We all really appreciate that. Um, with that, I once again just wish to all of you a blessed fast. Let's look forward together to Pascha, to the resurrection. And I want to wish you all peace in Jesus Christ.